Hello, and welcome to my channel. Hello, and welcome to my channel. Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Kayla, and I'm autistic, and making videos is stupid and hard. I need to put the pen down, or I will be doing this like last video, and we don't need that. No, we don't. Before I get into this video, I do want to stress that I'm still learning, still figuring this all out. It's all very new to me. I don't fully understand my personal autism, what that means. I am actually scheduled next week to meet with a specialist to have my official autism assessment. So that's a little exciting, stressful. Yeah, so I'll probably make a video after that's done. We'll see. I don't want to like overload myself. All right, let's get into it. In this video, we are going to be talking about my personal autistic traits. These are most of my traits with some examples. This is by no means an exhaustive list. Number 1, sensory sensitivities. I want to say as a whole, it just feels like all of my senses are super heightened. I've heard some autistic people use the analogy, everybody's a television and the dial goes to 10. Autistic sensory dials go to 11, 12, 13, 100. It's pretty obvious if you are sensitive. First of all, if people tell you that you're sensitive, you are reacting in a way that seems out of proportion to what everyone else is reacting. This has led to a lot of my meltdowns. It's called sensory overload. I can't shut out sound, smell, lights, just everything. It's all super overwhelming and I just want to crawl into a little cocoon or ball and disappear. I will, however, mention the upside of having heightened senses is being able to notice things that most people don't, as well as a heightened pattern recognition. My auditory sensitivities is pretty self-explanatory. I have really heightened hearing, jumpy at loud noises. I don't like certain noises. Certain noises cause me physical, I don't want to say pain, but I don't know if I'm doing this, but that's what I want to do when I think about noises I don't like. It just causes a physical reaction in me. If it's not that bad, then I can just tolerate it. But if it's distracting enough, then I will need to leave, get away from the noise. Tactile sensitivities. What I'm gonna do is just list the things. I don't really like tongue kissing. For the most part, clothing needs to be super, super soft and loose. I really can't stand wearing bras, and for the most part, I don't wear them. I've suffered through tight outfits, but anyone who knows me, by the end of the night, I end up just taking off the tight things throughout the night because I just can't stand it and it starts to really bother me. When I was a kid, I had my mom remove all the tags out of my clothes. Can't stand glasses on my face for very long. Razors are really icky. I don't really like to shave, and when I have shaved, and I've shaved, my body hair in the past because I felt like that's what I needed to do, I would get rashes under my arms and I'd get really bad ingrown hairs on my legs. So now I just don't shave and haven't looked back since. I really don't like water in my ears. My skin is allergic to adhesives. I'm also allergic to dissolvable sutures. I also don't really like wearing jewelry. I don't like wearing rings, necklaces, earrings. I ended up taking all my piercings out. They really bothered me, and if anything wasn't pure metal, I would react to it. I'm also sensitive to vaccines in the way that I just needed to get them in half or quarter doses when I was a kid, just because I would have a really heightened reaction to them. I also have a lot of food texture aversions. I think the texture of okra is slimy. I can't stand the feeling of meat gristle in my mouth, and sometimes it makes me gag. And the texture of bananas, if they're a little bit too ripe, will also make me gag. And you'll hear me say it's a texture thing a lot. Olfactory sensitivity, so my nose, my sense of smell is ridiculous. So sensitive and super acute. I can distinguish people's body odor. I know what my husband smells like. I know what all my friends smell like. I can smell garlic on my fingers for 3 days. Is it a superpower? I'll let you decide. Number 2, stims and stimming. It stands for self-stimulating behaviors. Useful for the autistic person to help regulate their feelings, their anxiety. Sometimes it just, feels good. Hi, baby. My daughter's sitting over there. She's so cute. And distracting. Yeah. She didn't even do anything. The following are stims that I have done or do currently. Chew my hair. Sing or hum. Snap my fingers really fast. Pace. Push up on my nose like this. You've probably seen me do it in this video and other videos. Chew my lips. Press on my head or my eyes. Sometimes excitedly flap my hands or legs. Tap my toes. Fidget in general, so bouncing my legs or twiddling something in my hands. I also have visual stims. Running water. Bright and colorful lights or lasers. Rainbows. Glitter. Sparkly stuff. Furry or fuzzy stuff. Now that I've become more aware of my stims and how they make me feel, it really is a huge stress reliever. I'm learning how to better regulate myself and my emotions through my stimming. Oh, Jesus. Fuck. I think I'm allergic to that. Fuck. Ugh. So that was fun. I think I was reacting to my diffuser. Number 3, social communication deficits. In general, I have a lot of anxiety socializing. I tend to take things very literal. Again, I think it's a good idea just to list these things and just kind of like edit them closely together because there's a lot of stuff and I can't. I mean, you see this? For the most part, I don't understand societal constructs. I think they are ridiculous, stupid, annoying, don't see the point in them most of the time. I had difficulty verbalizing what was in my head, getting it out of my mouth. The way I thought about the world, the way I experienced it, seemed to be unlike anyone around me, and I couldn't relate to anyone. I seemed very alien and out of place. I wanted to work alone a lot. I was disinterested in my peers and their interests, and usually had older friends or only guy friends. I struggled and still struggle to make and maintain friendships. I used to think I had social anxiety. I would much rather communicate over text and email than in person or over the phone. Sometimes I don't get your sarcasm. I tend to be blunt. As a kid, sleepovers were super stressful for me. Social outings, for the most part, felt like work, felt like I had to recover from them. I just felt like I couldn't be myself. I had to pay attention to everyone's facial expression, trying to dissect what they were thinking and what they were thinking of what I was doing, and if I was doing the right thing, and if I was giving enough eye contact, if I was gesturing too much. I also would hold back a lot in things that I would say, and I just thought, for the most part, people would think it was annoying. In general, I thought people thought that I was annoying. I wasn't really sure if someone liked me or not, and that was always a struggle, especially with romantic relationships. For the most part, I have a pretty monotone voice, and I don't express myself outwardly very much, so I used to exaggerate my reactions to things to seem more excited or more happy, kind of going overboard because I tend to have a flat affect. My facial expressions don't tend to match the reaction that people expect. I thought people were boring. I hate small talk. I said inappropriate things a lot. I tended to interrupt or derail people's conversations. I was pretty confused by people and their behavior and their actions. Sometimes I don't know when it's my turn to talk, and it's worse on the phone because I can't actually see that person. I thought everyone was superficial. People usually misunderstood me and thought I was being rude or condescending when I really wasn't trying to be, and I really didn't understand what I did wrong. A funny thing I used to do, actually I shouldn't say used to because I still did this in my 20s, but when we had family over, I would always sneak away to take a nap because I needed to just get a break from everyone, and totally thought that was a normal thing. I like, for the most part, animals more than people. I like cats more than people. I have gone nonverbal before, and it's usually when I'm in a stressful situation, I kind of just shut down, not able to really express my feelings. And that's something that I may want to elaborate in a future video, but I haven't decided yet. And my last social faux pas or social communication deficit is oversharing. Yeah, like a bucket of overshare that nobody wanted, asked for, gave it to them anyways. 4, executive functioning deficits. I feel like my working memory is a little iffy. When I was a kid, I lost things a lot. I'm so much better at that now. I have a tough time regulating my emotions and behavior, especially when I get overstimulated or if I'm upset. I'll tend to say things I don't mean, have meltdowns. If you don't know what meltdowns are, quickly they're just like your fight or flight instinct taking hold, and you are doing everything you possibly can to get safe. For me, it's more of a flight scenario where I like bolt. I'm just like gone. And I've done this as a kid too, where I would just kind of like disappear because I just couldn't be around anybody and I needed to like get away. And the only way I knew how to do that was to run away, but I'd always stay like kind of close so I was safe, even if my parents didn't know that. And I still have this. I still deal with meltdowns, as much as I don't want to admit that. I have set shifting issues, and what that means is changing my set and setting drastically. So when I went from community college to ASU, so like big state college, I had a really hard time adjusting. I had this nice little community at community college, and then I was shoved into state college, ASU, like huge campus. I didn't do well in my classes, and that's just one example. Number 5, fixations. I fixate or have fixated on people and inanimate objects. Clothing, mugs. I had a special IHOP mug for several years, special blanket, special spirit hood, songs and music. Most people don't know that I've listened to the same Deadmau5 playlist for the last like over a year now. And that's pretty much all I listen to is that same playlist over and over again. These fixations can also be on collecting objects, mugs, soft clothes, notebooks, seashells, rocks, books, and art supplies. People, I would usually fixate on characters. They could be from movies or books, TV, or someone in real life that I thought was cool, I thought I wanted to be like, kind of copied how they dressed, how they acted, pretty much tried to like take all the things I thought that made them cool so that I could be like them and I could be cool, which is only the most autistic thing I could have done and made me super uncool. So, backfired. Number 6, intense interests. As a whole, I would be very, very intense about things I would be interested in. And I have core intense interests that I've had for most of my life, and I have kind of intense interests that I would dive into very quickly and be all about and try to learn everything I possibly could about that one thing and only talk about that one thing for months, maybe a year, and then I'd kind of like drop it and move on to something else. My core interests: biology and anatomy, baking, dance, aerial arts, creative writing, painting and drawing, death, nature documentaries, reading and books, crafting, philosophy, meditation, the psychedelic experience, and cats. Some of my lesser known or fleeting intense interests are the following: anime, sharks, magic, kung fu, Muay Thai kickboxing, sewing, vegetarianism, costuming, Supernatural, the TV show, long distance running, Burning Man, improv comedy, and acting. Moving on. Number 7, intense and prolonged emotional reactions. My emotions are super intense and they feel kind of like a tsunami. I feel all this energy draining me and then it just like big wave, like one after another. And even after it's kind of settled, it's still kind of reverberating throughout my body and I have to recover from those like really, really intense emotional reactions. I call it the emotional debris. As a kid, I was called a crybaby a lot. I was told I was being over dramatic, that I was kind of just being emotional to get attention, when I truly honestly felt that deeply, and I was expressing that hurt, just really intense. Meltdowns can also come from an intense emotional reaction. I will have kind of uncontrollable crying fits. Because of that, that's why I like to run and flee, because I don't want people to see that. I don't want people to see that side of me, because adults aren't supposed to act that way. My intense emotions have also caused me to shut down, where I will push away all of those intense emotions. I don't want to feel them because I don't know how to handle it, and I will just feel super numb, like a computer just like powering down, screensaver on, but everything else is just off or gone. And yes, it's not pleasant. Number 8, insistence on sameness and ritualized behavior. I have some ritualized behavior and insistence on sameness, where I kind of like my space the way that I like it. I like to have lighting. I like to create a space that feels nice and comfy and safe to me, and I don't really like it when it's disturbed. As far as a strict routine, I don't really have that, but I do more or less have ritualized behavior when it comes to certain things. The example that comes to my head is like making a breakfast sandwich in the morning. I make the same breakfast sandwich like pretty much every morning, and I make it the same way every time, down to how I put the pans on the oven and in what order I get the ingredients ready. And I also like watching the same TV shows, movies. I like ordering things like my books and my clothes. I like a certain level of predictability in my surroundings. Number 9, speech difficulties. Now, I was an early talker, and I didn't actually have trouble speaking in the sense of learning how to talk and like being able to. I do have difficulty in stressful situations, and I was in trouble, or in sexual situations where I felt like the words were trapped in my throat or in my head, and I couldn't get them out. There were things that I wanted to say, I couldn't get them out. It's a really icky feeling. It feels very helpless. And it's not just not getting the right words out, like it's like not even being able to form the words in the first place, but you feel it in your gut or your heart. You just can't form them into words. That's the best way I can describe it. I noticed this really intensely when I was in labor with my daughter. I really want to document my labor and delivery story, and I think it would be really helpful for me to do that, and maybe helpful for someone else who kind of went through the same thing and maybe feeling some sort of way about it, maybe relating to it, feeling like they're not alone. We'll see when I get to it. Number 10, masking, camouflaging, and fawning. Masking and camouflaging is a way for autistic people to appear more normal, suppressing their autistic behaviors so that they are more socially acceptable. Fawning is people-pleasing, where you default to the needs and wishes of others over your own. I've talked about this in my previous video, that I had identity crises a lot, which meant that I went through these cycles of not knowing who I was because I was just adopting personalities from people, characters that I thought was how I should be like, or defaulting to societal pressures to be a certain way that was acceptable. I would practice my smile, I would practice laughing, and for a long time I didn't know what my true, authentic laugh was. I pretended to like things that I didn't in order to fit in. I said things off of kind of like a script in my head because I thought that's what other people wanted to hear. I thought that's what I was supposed to say. And I said those things because I thought that's what I should say, not because that's how I really felt. I avoided conflict like the plague. I would copy peers and characters I thought were cool. I tended to avoid talking about special interests because if I got going, then I felt like I couldn't stop, and it tended to make things awkward. That's not to say I always was able to stop myself. I faked reactions to seem more normal. I suppressed my stimming or stimmed in a way that was socially acceptable, like biting my pencil or tapping my pencil. I would force eye contact when I was lying. I also forced reactions when I didn't feel them, and I just thought that that's what people wanted me to do. On this topic, I want to say how much energy is devoted to masking. It requires so much mental energy to do this. Some of it conscious, some of it, most of it unconscious. It's not always like perfect either. So as much as I was masking, you know, parts of myself would still come out, which is why I was still bullied, which is why people still treated me differently. I still was different. Like, I couldn't hide that well. If people thought I was eccentric and kooky already, then watch out. Number 11, intense imagination and creative thinking. I have a really busy mind that I can't shut off. I often told myself stories and was entertained by them. I still tell myself stories, and I still write stories. I live in my head. I like being alone. I like being with myself and my thoughts. I would zone out at school and daydream, be in this fantasy world in my head. I amused myself a lot and would have to hold back. Sounds weird, I guess, with laughter, because I would make myself laugh, and I knew no one would get it but me. People have told me I have an odd sense of humor. People have told me I have a lot of crazy ideas, or just a lot of interesting ideas. I would like to play the same make-believe games with my sisters, so we would either play house or school. I know, we would play school. Weird. Lastly, I'm going to talk about some autistic traits that I have that are less known or less talked about, and those are sleep difficulties, insomnia, a strange gait or walk, intense connection with animals, cats, clumsiness, a large, strange, and extensive vocabulary. Now that is the lowdown on my autistic traits. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you can relate to any of this, then let me know in the comments. I would be interested to know. Love yourself, be kind to yourself, and catch you on the flip side.